Hello, it's Vicki LaRoe with Modern Jewelry Makers. Thank you for joining me for this video. This is going to be a fairly short and simple earring tutorial that I want to share to make this darling little earring. And I'm probably going to post this on YouTube, maybe Facebook, not sure. This lovely little kit, earring, was offered as a kit, as an add-on kit for a recent lariat kit. Here she is. Here's in silver. She's so pretty. That's the silver one, and then this is our gold one. That's just lovely. But the lariat has sold out. This kit, in these colors, so it's not available any longer. So I may end up making this kit available on its own, and so I wanted to share that. Or if you have similar crystals, then maybe you just, need the components and little bits and pieces, and we have that available too, or you may have something like it. But it's fairly simple to make, but there are a couple little tricky things here, which is why I wanted to make a video tutorial. And for those who did purchase the kit and are watching the video to make theirs along with it, then you have the handout here with all the photos and that kind of thing. So we're going to run through her, and we're going to make the matching earring to the gold pairs. Scoop these out of the way and that one out of the way. So we're first going to start with the little dangles at the little 4mm crystals on the bottom. Now I have these already made up with the basic loop at the top. In the kits that, if you have got the kit from me, then it came with the 8 crystals or 10, so you can choose 8 from there in matching pairs, though they definitely don't have to match. The color story works, right? And so if you have this palette or the lariat kit, you can pick any of the colors from that kit and they will mix together beautifully. I happen to always have a bunch of these little dangles made. Here's a bunch. This is a similar, like an earring we did a little while ago to go with that palette that I'm going to end up taking apart. This is how I end up with a lot of these little dangles already made, and I keep them so that I can use them again. So I have 4 here we're going to use to put ours together. And this is the little bracelet kit too. It has little dangles on there. I just love using them. Okay, so that's the first thing we'd want to do is select, once you've selected the larger crystal, we're using a really beautiful little 8mm cut crystal rondelle for like the body or the main thing, and then 4 4mm smaller crystals as dangles. And those dangles are just going on a simple ball head pin, and we're going to do basic loop at the top, not a wrapped one. And I would do it a little smaller than maybe you typically do if you have like a standard size. I would do these just a bit smaller. These here are varying sizes because I use them on different projects, but I'm going to try to have us make like a 3mm loop, which, if you need to eye that, this crystal's 4mm, so a loop smaller than the crystal. How about that? Just because they're all going to go together in this little grouping under here, and so a smaller loop will keep them tighter and will look a little better. So I just kind of eye this, where you're cutting it, the amount of wire you're leaving will determine the size of your loop. This is, I always leave about, it's more than a 1/4 inch, like 1/3 of an inch or 1 centimeter. So if I take a ruler out here and measure from the top of the crystal, whoops, let me stay in camera, which is about 1 centimeter or so. You can always cut it smaller, of course, if you need to. There's our wire. Bend her back towards me and take my round nose to roll it around. Now, so once you have all 8 of those, your 4 for each earring, you can put that off to the side. Then we're going to use an eye pin here, and You don't have to use an actual eye pin. You could just use wire to make a loop at the bottom. However, if you do that, you really want to make sure this wire is half hard. And you could do that by even just running the wire through like a nylon jaws pliers over and over again. We'll keep hardening the wire, but we don't want it all dead soft or like an artistic wire or aluminum wire, any of that crap, because it's too soft. It won't hold a shape. So, but in the kit, I've put 2 eye pins. Now, the loop on an eye pin is not necessarily round. I know it looks round at first glance, but it's not really. It's more teardrop shape almost, or a little more oval. It's machine made, and so it never quite touches. But we need this loop to be a bit larger and more round, like actually round. And so I'm going to put my round nose pliers in there and open her up, and I'm going to scoot it up the plier a little bit, and I'm kind of grabbing onto the end of it here. And you can use a chain nose to make a new bend in her, but we want this loop to be larger and rounder. And that's the beauty of it being half hard, is you can do that, right? You're not, a dead soft wire will just be all over the place like a spaghetti noodle. But with the wire half hard, you can play with it a little bit. So now this loop is a little bit larger and a little more round than the original. See that? Now, the first thing we want to test though before we build it is that you want to put your your rondelle crystal on there and make sure she's sitting straight. See, mine's not. See how it's kind of cattywampus. The tip tilts to one side. So that just means it's not perfectly round. It's not sitting evenly on both sides. So I'm going to get in here and I'm going to tilt her up a little bit. Almost. And, we don't have to get crazy about it, but it will matter, because when you go to put everything together, if that middle crystal is hanging, crooked, you'll notice. And I know it's hard to see because the way the camera is now, but I think it's just a darling little earring. You definitely want that crystal sitting straight. Nope, that's still crooked. So I'm gonna get her a better bend here. There we go. So you just play with that until, and that's how you know the shape is there. There we go. There for you. Beautiful. Now, that's all. I'm going to take that off. Once you have, both of those. Okay. Now, we're going to add our little dangles. So, open that loop to the side. Right, like opening a window. And when you put these on, the order does kind of matter depending on what you want the front to be. So this little opaque pink will show because it's solid. This little gold one has a bit of glimmer. I want that in the back. This is a little bit like richer color, so I want it front. And this little green one's a little smaller, so I also want it at front. Then I'm going to close this up and put on my rondelle crystal. Then I'm going to add this little daisy spacer to the top and this little round. These little details, the spacer and this little tiny round bead, those are the design details that bring it together and just make it look professional and really beautiful and finished, really nicely. See how beautiful? That's really lovely. So before we make this loop, you want to kind of look at it. Again, this camera angle is not perfect, but you look at it from the side and hold it up and decide where's your front. So at which point, do you like it? Are most of the colors showing, that it's laying nicely? Where's your favorite angle? That's the front. So once you've found that, then that's where you're going to do your cut and bend. Oh, we should cut it first. Sorry. Sorry, I want to make sure we cut it. Now, this loop is still a basic loop, but it needs to be much bigger because it has to go over this component. And so we really want it to be at least a 1/2 inch. It could even be a little bit larger. So from the top of the bead, there we go, put it down a little bit. And so we want a good loop on here. And again, the more wire you leave, the larger the loop is. And you can always cut it down, of course. But you can't ever put it back. Now once it's cut is when you want to figure out your front. There we go. So wherever your front is, right, I've got that, and I've got my chain nose here, then you're going to bend that wire back towards you, wherever that front angle is. Then I'm going to roll it away, and I'm going to go further up on the round nose because it's a bigger loop. Okay. And again, we'll just double check it. Looks good. There's my loop. Beautiful. Okay. And you could probably do the other one at the same time so you can make sure they match. Now, next part is a little more tricky. A typical ear wire like that looks just like that. But we need this loop to be going perpendicular, to be going the other way. It needs to hang frontwards, right? The loop on our ear wire needs to face front, which they typically do not. So I would not, this is easy to do. I wouldn't add another jump ring or anything like that. So all you're going to do is take your chain nose pliers, right? They're smooth inside, not a needle nose, no ridges, smooth inside. You're going to use about the middle of the plier to grab onto right over the loop of the ear wire and just give it a nice, and she's perpendicular, right? Just one turn. And there she is. And if the loop opened or the little ball moved, if there's a ball, you can get in there and adjust it or whatever if you need to. This one's okay. But that's it. It's turned. Okay. Then we're just going to put it together. So you need your chain nose. You're going to open this loop to the side. Again, right? Just like opening a door, window. And again, typically the back where the wire is the back of it. So I'm opening it to the side. I'm going to slip on the ear wire. Again, there's a front to an ear wire. Make sure we put it on front. Then you're going to slip on that component. And then we're just going to close our loop back to the side. And that's it. There she is. Gorgeous. Beautiful. Easy peasy. Just lovely. So that is it. I'll leave a link below for this kit and maybe even just for the little components. Again, you can use, pretty much any crystals in here and your own, spacers and ear wires and head pins and stuff. So the materials are, pretty common. But I can leave a link to our little components that we sell these separately as well. Otherwise, if you order the kit, though, it'll come with an assortment and a really beautiful color story that you can select. I always add more crystals than you need, so you can kind of choose the ones you want to use. And that is it for today. I'm fairly certain I'm going to put this on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Give the video a like, make a comment, all the things. And I will see you back next time for a new video on some more jewelry making. Thanks so much, and sparkle brightly like the star that you are. Peace.